enti yeka Abibitumi ehun semwa inde ye bai ye hu se wesi fie kakraka kama wodi ebibifo ahyensu die ni yabakose ho ahyensu die aye ni kama ye fie kokoko pa ohuka atisika esia obiaba obihu se efie we eye fie mapa eye ahemfie dembutaye ena etechi wetimi de yesa japade yi esia eye krape mampon ha wodi epese edi eche webibitumi
bra ehwe Abibitumi ahemfie na ya wosisi ana ya Abibitumi ahemfie nyina ne se yenim se habe ya abibiwiase ahemfie ankasa sa se uhwa nyam bi wo ha efri srem se kasna nankana mo bibi onfra bomborisi yestene ye kan edano ho adru kokko tuntum eni fitas ana mo ye awo hono abibi awo ne nkyerase afi de ye hwe bibi se ye frɛ we bogolan efri mali ati ase enti ye sheda anye se ye nim de enti ye sheda se hafri esrem awo Ghana hanso na efri mali afi de ye wo adinkra ye fante kamfodia sa adinkra we frɛ abibi fa hodie e kyerɛ se abibi fo ankasa ye fa hodie enyaye na ebra ye hwe senya ahaya ahina watwe efri tete kemet enemre mo frɛ na Egypt na so ne enti me frɛ kemet se sa na ye frɛ omano sa ye abibi fo ye frɛ omano asa ambrofo ba na ye kemet asechere se abibi man kem ekire se tuntum enti emokura na ebewura ambrofo kasa to se chemistry pre kanasa ekire tuntum
enti chemistry no efi ebibifo abakosem
sa asemfo akra every abibifo abakosem sa se bra ye hwe kem sense twro iwo de enemre mo frana hieroglyphics atitikasa ye frana medu nature iwo sa kasa no mo kem na eye ye fa se jabidie atia se jabidie ankasa enti e kire se eye endua bia ya hye na afide bibi asesa wonimu enti bra ka chemistry e kire se sa enyama wo mu asesa edru bia wo mu asesa atia se enti sa na asechire enti bra ye hwe ahanyina ene se ye wo de efri Kikongo wom ye wo de efri Yoruba fo wom ye wo de efri Kemet wom ye wo de efri Akanfo wom ye wo de efri Kasana Nankana wom ye wo de efri Amambebre Bambara fo ye fra Amokasa Bamanakan eno so wom enti ye di nyina fra se ba ya have ebegina te se abibifo nyina ahemfie enti sa na asechire
na omo a weni da omo so se omo ye ebibifo nyina ahemfie ehu nipa no dom no eye wan mu na ombetimi afre omo se subject of webibifo ahemfie
we find say ye pass ye kyeremu a eye say omo na omo hye ahemfie we ase ene say nyina ye hu ahemfie te say ey ade a me hu wom ate ase wo fa hu say wo ye okaniba otumi hu ho wom say say wo hu adenkra wo fa say wo free malia
say ahyensudie bia say wo di
jinama abibifo
ejinama abibifo
nyina enti bibia wo hu wo ha no wo ti ase a wo be hu ho wom what you say enti eno nti na sie ahemfie we no na so bra me ka me dibia me bamohene chidom hene what you say enti ye ka chidom obi a obo bamohene no chidom enti ebia chidom hene ontimi nko odwira anase ohum afahye na me ne metumi sena nam na se ebia nyankomade bi wo ho a me na me bua no me gina ne chi na nyina ye sa nyankomade no enti sana asechire
sesiano yewo ebibifo a amaman so akwantu nti no omo akoka akwantu mu a omo ye dwuma bi kura yewo omo ewo ho said yewo witimi ehu ye ni ade a wo ankasa bia odi weni hu ye nti a waye wadwin se sa eho no mu no fa ho mbata ho pio mu de na obeka kire wafefo nkofo tse wo a omafa saati bi enimu a ombuso wo ho a omunyaaya kom bebo mechi nso bibi nti no omo ho
enti de medi kan kai me ka se abibiwiase kyerɛ sɛ abibifo nyinaa ɛwɔ wiase mfa ho sɛ ebia wofiri Haiti woda so yɛ obibini ebia wofiri Jamaica nanso woda so yɛ obibini nanso bra yɛ hu sɛ wɔ saa aman bebree no mu yɛn hyɛda ne tumi sɛ yɛ sɛ fata nti ɛwɔ sɛ saa tumi no ɛwɔ sɛ ɛnya fapem na saa fapem no ɛyɛ abibima ankasa nti maadwi nyinaa ne sɛ mayɛmboa abibima sɛ yɛbɛtu mpɔn na saa bra nya tumi yɛbɛhu sɛ saa tuo no ɛnya akyigyinafoɔ nti ɛnyɛ ade a betumi yɛ no basabasa saa sɛ saa nipa wei no ɔwɔ obi a ɔbɛko ama no ate ase nti saa na sɛ kyerɛ nti mɛwɔ ha yi nyinaa ne sɛ yɛbɛboa yɛn ho sɛ sɔmo ho nyɛ akoa nti yɛbɛboa yɛn ho sɛ bɛyɛ a yɛbɛnya tumi na saa bere no obibini a ɔte Haiti sɛ deɛ US for ɔmo ntumi mbɔ wura Haiti mu bio saa sɛ ɔmo nim sɛ abibiman ne agye wɔ Haiti fo akyi wate ase sɛnea ɔmo yɛ wɔ Jamaica sɛnea ɔmo yɛ before America aburukyire ɔmo ntumi nyɛ ne saa bi mu saa sɛ ɔmo nim sɛ ɛba na saa ɛne abibifo bɛyɛ ɔmo sɛnea China fo bɛyɛ ɔmo nti sɛ yɛsa yɛ kyi saa na ase kyerɛ
sesi a meyɛya ewie nkɔmɔ no but sesi a no anamontuo bɛn ɛna wutu ama amansan ɛne ebibifo a ɔmo adwen mmienu ɛfa ɔmo abakɔsɛm mu ne saa ɔmo bebetumi ɔmo betumi nya adwensakra sɛdeɛ ɔmo betumi ayɛ dɛn ɛde ɔmo aba abɛdɔm saa ubutaye papa yi a okura di ma abibima no ɛde bɛn anamu na wutu ɛde ayɛ sanhyɛ mu
mate enti enkom nyinaa bota ne sɛ yɛto nsa frɛ ahwefo nyinaa sɛ nyinaa ɔmommra abibitumi nhyɛmo a ɛbɛba so kuta wɔn nsa da to so nson de kopem kuta wɔn nsa da to so nkron ɔmo nte twi
we de ɔsɛ ɔkyekye mu obofu mu kakra
me amene mo de enti ɛyɛ July 7th through 9th
July 7th to July 9th okay
enti sɛ me ka no kuta wɔn nsa da to so nson de kopem da to so nkron ɛna yɛ frɛ abibifo a ɔmo wɔ Ghana sɛ ɔmo nyinaa ɔmo mmra abibifo a mo wɔ Togo abibifo wɔ Benin abibifo wɔ Nigeria abibifo wɔ Haiti abibifo wɔ America abibifo wɔ UK abibifo wɔ abibiwiase afan nyinaa sɛ ɔmo nyinaa ɔmo mmra na yɛmfa adwen sɛ bɛyɛ a yɛbɛnya tumi awɔ kwanyase nyinaa so bere a yɛhwɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ abibifo ho nyinaa no sɛ yɛni tumi a yɛbɛtumi ase ano nanso bere a yɛfa adwen bere a yɛkan ho bom yɛ sɛ prae wɔ hɔ yi woyi baako a ɛna ebu na so wo ka bom a embu da ɛno nti na yɛka sɛ ma yɛnka yɛn ho bom na yɛmfa adwen na yɛho sɛnea yɛbɛtumi ayɛ yɛn a yɛmfidi dwuma anhia sɛ yɛkɔ China ansa na yɛbɛtumi yɛ mfidi dwuma ma yɛmfa yɛn a yɛn homa sua a yɛhia sɛ yɛkɔ Greece anaa Rome ansa na yɛtumi sua ahoma na yɛtumi sua deɛ yɛtwerɛeɛ san sɛ yɛn abibifo na ɛdi kan twerɛ asɛm no wohwɛ apono a wɔmɛkyi no ɛno yɛ adetwerɛ a di kan bɛ wiase ansa na Chinafoɔ nim sɛ yɛsi twerɛ adeɛ ansa na Romanfoɔ nim sɛ yɛsi twerɛ adeɛ ansa na Frenchfoɔ anaa Englishfoɔ hu sɛ yɛsi twerɛ adeɛ yɛn abibifoɔ nyɛ yɛde adetwerɛ bɛ wiase a bi nso ne ahye a mfa sɛ nhwɛsoɔ na bi nie nti ɛwɔ sɛ yɛsua saa nneɛma no yɛsua saa adeɛ nam a ɛbɛtumi aboa ama yɛto mpɔn yɛbɛtumi ama yɛnyanya nkɔsoɔ na yɛhwehwɛ no nti abibitumi nhyia mu yɛsan wɔ ade a yɛfrɛ sankofa akwantuo ayɛde abibifo firi amano ne sɛ ɔmo nso ɔmo mmra na yɛmfa mo nkɔkyin Ghana man na mo ho ade a ɛfɛ awɔ Ghana man yɛfa sɛ oguo anaasɛ nsuguo na yɛ waterfall a ɔbɛtumi ahwɛ sɛ ade a ɛfɛ ɛno nso wɔ Ghana ɔbɛtumi abra ɛmo bɛtumi aba mmɛpɔ so te sɛ ebire ha na ɔmo ho sɛ ɛha nso na yɛwɔ ade a ɛfɛ
ebibiman wɔ ade a etu mpo a ɛfɛ
na afei de yɛbɛnya yɛman ho dɔ na ebi nso bɛka na ɔmo ka yɛn nso yɛwɔ ade a yɛfrɛ repatriate Ghana
okay
nti yɛboa mo mo tu efiri aburukyire
aba bɛtena ha koraa ɛbɛpɛ adwuma yɛ ɛpɛ mma aware na ɔpa obenya wopɛ baabi atena obenya wopɛ adwuma
ɔmo tumi tɔ asase ɔmo tumi tɔ ahyɛn na ɔmo betumi atena mo na ɔkɔ ɔmo baabi bibia ɔmo hia bia no yɛn nso na yɛboa wɔ so akwan so nti abibitumi yɛnhyia mo yɛto nsa afra mo sɛ me nyinaa mo mmra abibitumi yɛnhyia mo wɔ ho ade a ayɛ soronko wɔbɛtumi ho abibitumi ahemfie wankasa yɛsɛ krabehwe enti krabehwe mo na eye abibitumi ahemfie enti mu nyina mummra sankofa akwantuo ifa sankofajourney.com abibitumi.com/conference nyina mo betumi aba na mo sua de yie na afere wo sua de awie a ye say obinimo a obi kire ne onim no sua na oye de ohunu enti ye boa ma ye hu nyama bibifo to me ye to me see fear and ye Greece for fear wo ko obi fear wo hu say wo obi mamu enti say ade a wo be hu New York enti say ade a wo hu Spain na so wo ba abibitumi him fear we ka say ha nye bebia je abibiman ha nye bebia de say abibitumi ahemfie brabehwe na wo say ye
krabehwe se de okan na me masembi say twatu ni masembi say twatu ni na ehu hia me pa edan kama wi ase ehu akonuaba ehu niema odisi ye nyina ejina ebibi fo amamre ni ye yabakosemu na oye no bibi ampusu se unto broni ana se de wo ka Chinese ni ana se Japan ni bibi enfamfra ana bibi sen na wutimi ye ya wutimi di ebibifuo eniema eye se fie kakaka
adua medi kan kora ne se yo bibi afra ntwoma wo se mpenfo bobebe se wo kwa ntwoma wo bebia ebre na ntwoma eyesa na tia kokko a wo ko infase nkurase wo se no ana mo de se o fie na senia o mo ka se ani bia ba nti emfa no ne adwuma na so sa ani bie emom eye ani kata esa se ya dia te se ko pesika na e ko to afre sebe ya bi before ya tamfo ho ati ase na so
ade na from ya tamfo
se ye hwe abakoso mu a obi a sebe oto wo nanno mo na onye wodofo obi a otumi di awuo efa wokọ nkwasom mu ono de onye wodofo enti owo se osere kire wo a onye wadamfo onye watamfo enti pempenyise no pen de asie no eno na emaye hu yese de owo aka no pen na osoro sunsun enkanka de owo aka no pen na osan ho owo na obeka se owo we e owo
na nya sunsun
enti sana asemreti enti bra ye hu na sa yinim se sa atamfo no adenti na wo se me mesika koma mo se de baya o mbesan aba abaye ayaka de bi se ya ye wo nyama yetumi gina ye nyama so se de baya ye benya mpuntuo ene nkoso enti sa mpuntuo a anka ye de ma ya tamfo yi yemfa sa sika nyina na engina serebe ya yeman abegina serebe ya nchirima omuso omnya baby papa egina wati ase eno ntina ye na sa enti esan wo adwimbi a eta echire esan se sa ntuma no se ewi abot se de ben awo abonten ura demu a se na wo hu
na yu
wo ye hia na
debi ha se enyunyu
ejo kama
enti ha nya hye me mentin fifiri ba akukwa awo a unsu handkerchief bibia yunyu
na ejina sa nim dia ye nanom kura aya to atwene me ka se ya to atwene omo ato atwene me de menka ho esa se yinim se enye se ye bibi keke ye ade a nyansa wom enti wo hia inframannuno fidie awo dem enti ye nkura na nyen hihye bia se inframannuno fidie beba ha
enti bibia ye natural bibia ye kama efi nyankopon ahihye
oh enti yenim se yendie enye se before dia keke ayade a kama ayade a ebeboa wati ase enti bia wo hu bia
wo hwe yen a wo ye bibini ewo ko bia so ni aman bia so no aha ni Abibitumi headquarters omudi Abibitumi Conference. If you have to speak English, the Abibitumi Conference which is being organized from the Abibitumi headquarters is coming up on the 7th to 9th of July 2023, which is to host all black persons from around the world. We are talking about black, not necessarily Africans, but black people who relate to the black heritage, who relate to black culture, who come from places like Ghana, Mali, Sudan, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, whether you are in the US, you are in the Syria, you are in Afghanistan, you are in India, and you recognize yourself as a black person, you should know you are a black person. Don't mistake your identity to think there is something else that is foreign that you could relate to aside being black. And this is why the Abibitumi headquarters have created series of events to accept black people to come and enjoy their heritage, enjoy their culture, and associate with where they came from.
That's right.
Items like the Abibitumi Conference, which is happening on the 7th to 9th of July 2023, and they have also the Sankofa
Journey. SankofaJourney.com.
Sure. So there is a website, sankofajourney.com, that you can visit to read and follow them and check on how you can be involved in what they have for you on trips, tours, and you know how to have a luxurious stay when you come. And we have the
Repatriate2Ghana.com.
Repatriate2Ghana.com. Repatriate2Ghana.com. The Repatriate2Ghana.com gives you an opportunity to move away. And the Uber 2 route, you just move away completely from wherever it is that you are to come into Ghana and stay. If you are a young man who needs a wife, or you are even older and maybe you are divorced and you still need a black wife, he is the perfect man to hook you up, get you a plot of land to stay. It's not like he's going to use his money.
Oh, I won't use my money.
He's not going to use his money, but he will help you when you have the money to acquire the proper plots, to build a good house, to start a good business. You can do farming, you can do artifacts, you can do restaurants, any other form of business that is healthy and black, for you to also set up some capital and start up some business and live your life comfortably. Enjoy the freedom, enjoy the good health, enjoy the good living, and be part of the beautiful black culture, black heritage, and promote the values of the black people. This is why we are here, and I would want to allow Professor to give us his final words, which he would sum it all up in the English language, for you to know that he's not just a black man who speaks black language, but when it comes to English, all right. See, Prof, you give us you give us your final word, but you should just wrap it all up in a language where if somebody else who doesn't understand our local language is watching, they can also relate to what you're saying, and then we'll be done for the day.
Yeah, so I will actually start off with a proverb in Chi, but I will translate. And it goes like this. They say, Dia chetese diabea awonsumwa endane odenchem. And it translates to, no matter how long a log remains in the water, it will not become a crocodile. So that is to say, black people, even if you've been for a long time in the UK or in the US or wherever you may be, that you are still a black person. That goes both ways, though. Yeah. This means even though our first enslavers and colonizers, the Arabs, have been in our land for a long time, we still remember that this is Abibimai, and Abibimai means land of black people. In Kikongo, they call this land Nsiabandombe, and that also means land of black people. Even in Igbo, they call it Ala Indisioji. That translates to land of black people. If you look at Yoruba, Ile Adulawo, that translates to land of black people. If you look at Chi, Abibimai, that again means land of black people. If you look at the Wolof language spoken in Senegal and Gambia, they will say Real Nitkunyu, that also means land of black people. If you even look at the language Kemet in what they call hieroglyphs, Kemet means land of black people. Even if you look at the Arabs who have taken a lot of North Africa, what they call North Africa, they call it Bilad al-Sudan, which means land of black people. Even in classical times, the Greeks said Ethiopia, which means land of black people. So what more convincing do we need that this land isn't just any land to be called anything? but this is really the land of black people. And once we understand that, we'll understand, well, then why is so-called Royal Dutch Shell taking all of our crude oil away? Why is De Beers taking all of our diamonds away? Why is Halliburton taking away all of our coltan? This is supposed to be the land of black people, by black people, and for black people. So why are we being exploited this way? Even our concept will tell us what we are supposed to do. Even our name will be our constitution that tells us what we're supposed to do. If we say African, then, well, the Dutch, they can take all the land in South Africa because they're African, they're South Africans. The Arabs will say, well, they're North Africans, they can do whatever they want. But once we realize that the very first people on the planet Earth were black people, and that this entire continent was populated by black people, then anyone who's non-black in this land is an invader. So now it comes down to, how can we as black people take our power back? People say black is beautiful. It doesn't matter if black is beautiful until we understand that black is powerful. You understand? And then we have the power to protect our land. In classical times, in Kemet, which again means land of black people, we understood that. So if you read a text like the prophecy of Nefertiti, it talks about building the walls of the ruler to bar Eurasians, these non-blacks, from entering Kemet, the land of black people. You can read a text called Sanhat that again talks about preventing these Eurasians from coming in and then crushing the sand-faring Bedouins. Now, ironically, the sand-faring Bedouins, these Arabs and so forth, they have come and taken that land that we used to call Kemet, and they now call it Egypt. You understand? But once we understand that history, then we'll start to understand when we called this the land of black people, we acted in that way to preserve the sanctity of the land of black people. And this is what the Black Power Conference is all about. Not just about black being beautiful, but black people being powerful, to prevent our enemies from stealing our resources, to prevent our enemies from stealing our land, to prevent our enemies from stealing our very lives, as happens right now because we depend on them. As Nana Thomas Sankara said, he who feeds you controls you. In classical times, Imahu Ptahhotep says, the one who depends on his belly or listens to his belly belongs to the enemy. So if you depend on your belly, this means all they have to do is give you a taste and a desire, and whatever they want to get accomplished, your land is no longer your land. Your clothes are no longer your clothes. Your wife is no longer your wife. Now in Chi they say, well, but when you're dependent on someone else for your food, he will not even see our wife again. But this is why we really need black power. So we talked about the Black Power Conference, and that is part and parcel of the 25th anniversary of the Sankofa journey. So the Black Power Conference, you can find out more on abibitumi.com/conference. And you can also download the apps. If you go to the App Store, the Play Store, you can just do a search for Abibitumi, ABIBITUMI, abibitumi.com, and then you'll download the app. We have over 11,000 people on that app alone, you understand? And many of those are new registrants who are just finding out, Abibitumi is doing this. You see, we're building a physical infrastructure. We've gone from digital idea of an all-black space to a physical institution, because a lot of people talk about decolonization. So we'll take a white place, a white parliament building, a white courthouse, and we'll say, let's decolonize it. We just throw some kente on the top and say, look, it's decolonized. But what about not being colonized in the first place? What about building an institution from the ground up that has never been colonized and is uncolonizable? That is what Abibitumi is all about.
Not a Flagstaff house by an Indian contractor.
Exactly. Or a national theater by a Chinese contractor. And they'll say, we'll do the president's house, we'll do a parliament house, that's India. So what is the essence of that if we're saying that, the black man can manage his own affairs, but then at the same time, you have everyone coming out to manage your affairs for you. You have George Bush Highway. So where Kwame Nkrumah motorway ends is where George Bush Highway begins. Symbolically, what does that tell you? What does that really tell you? It tells you that we have lost that concept of black power that we had 5,000 years ago when we said, let's build the walls to prevent them from coming in. And in classical times, you had the Hyksos who came in an invasion, that we actually drove them out in the first war of black liberation. That was Sarak Amos who was able to do that. But most of us have never even heard of that history before. We think that, when we fought the British, that was our first time fighting for our rights. But here we're talking about over 3,500 years ago when we protected this land as the land of black people. We prevented them from coming in, and when they did manage to come in, we drove them out. You understand? Nowadays people talk about the Exodus, but they don't know that Exodus, the real story, was about black people fighting off the enemies who had come in, bringing death and destruction, rape and ravaging, pillaging and plunder. And then we drove them out, and then they went on to found a place called Jerusalem. And that is according to Manetho. You can actually read Manetho as transcribed by Josephus Flavius. But these are some of the historical things that you'll learn deeply.
That's an African history.
That's the African history that's been written down. And because they told us, oh, you don't have any writing, we never go to look for it. We just take their word for it. But meanwhile, we invented writing, and the writing they have came from the Romans. And the Romans got theirs from the Greeks, and the Greeks got them from us in classical Kemet. So these are some of the things that we will discuss and we'll learn about. We're going to have people who are going to deal with manufacturing, 3D printing, laser plasma cutting. We have those who are talking about and actually demonstrating this is how we become self-sufficient as black people. It's not enough to say that black is beautiful, black is powerful, and if you're really powerful, it means you know how to manufacture for yourself. Here you see all the blocks here. We made the blocks ourselves. You understand? So we could have imported blocks from China.
the block machine.
You can see the block machine there, and we have that one. We also have the tech press, which comes from the University of Science and Technology. So we use that in order to build the powerhouse for everything that's running on solar. We also have a water cistern, 40,000 gallons, so we'll never depend on anyone for our water. If we're saying that we should not be dependent on anyone, then we're actually manifesting that.
Everything is self-manufactured.
Exactly, and we do it both. We have a water catchment system. If you see, the roof is huge. Most of us, when it rains, we just allow it to go to Kwame Nkrumah Circle and flood the place. But imagine if we had a water catchment system where we caught the water and then pumped it in after filtration, so now we use it for everything in the household. That is ingenuity that we have
farming and everything.
And that's really Abibitumi. If we look at the solar, we're able to manufacture all of the energy needs that we have right now. So you said, I need to plug up. You're plugging up on the solar, the energy of Ra that we used to respect, and now we're coming to respect it once again.
Wow.
We also have the solar borehole. As long as the sun is shining, we get water, or anytime it rains, we get water. This is the self-sufficiency that we're not only talking about, we're manifesting, and this is the model so you can see. So when you come to the Abibitumi Conference, you actually see with your own eyes a model of how we can live for ourselves, by ourselves, as free black people. Black liberation. Abibi Fahodie, Abibitumi.
Abibitumi. Thank you very much for the insightful conversation, and we hope by then we'll be around to cover the little we can on the event, and then we can pass the information out to a whole set of people to know that black culture is not just beautiful, but it is powerful.
And it must be powerful.
Must be powerful. Thank you very much for watching FBR interview. We'll catch you again another time. Bye-bye.
Abibitumi.